let's move ahead to the second issue. How do you check your Docker? How do you check the Docker error logs for containers that keep stopping after they are just run? Okay. In my case, whatever the error was, that is another video. But let's just say you have a Docker container, and how do you, you know, check the logs for it? Okay, and I will also talk about the pipeline, the Bitbucket pipeline also. Okay, so now what I used to do, simple Docker command. So we have this server. We just log in into it. We compose and we compose down and we compose three commands. We just made a normal command and we just use it. So this makes all the containers. It closes the old containers, then makes the live containers. And I am not well versed in that area. That is not what the video is about. Anyways, so what happened was, once you put in the container, you can check your container live status with docker ps. As soon as you give this command docker ps, it will give you a list of all the containers that are running on your system. Okay, it will give you all the status. Here there will be a container id, image, command, created date, status ports. It also tells you how long it has been up, and it also gives you the ports with which you can access. So let's say you are a new developer in an organization, and you have been given but there is a little chance you are given the server access if you are a new developer. In any case, let's say you are lucky like me and you got the server access. You can just run docker ps and it will give you all the ports. It will give you all the ports on which all the docker containers are running. Now what you will see is what happened to me, what the video is about, that a particular docker container, it was never shown there. Okay, so let's give it a name. Let's give it a logical reasoning code. Okay, so the logical reasoning service, my Bitbucket code, whichever it was, it never showed up. All the other code always showed up as a docker in this command. So what I did was I ran the live command again, and immediately after it ran, everything was started, I just ran this. So immediately, I think it should be highlighted here because it takes maybe a few seconds. Okay, and it takes maybe a few seconds before they are closed. Okay, if there is an error, it will go like that. So you need to immediately run this command. And so how do you do that? It is quite simple. You use this command first. Okay, you type docker ps and then you run this command. Okay, so that you can access the previous command with the okay. I think you can understand that much. So once you run this command docker ps and then you run the compose live command, whichever your up command is, docker up command, and immediately follow it with docker.ps, you will see all the containers here. And if you will notice, and you know what, keep running it every second. In 5 or 6 seconds, you will see that a container that was above isn't there anymore. Okay, now you need the container ID. In this, you can see the first column is the container ID. So hopefully you will get a container ID from here. And if you get the container ID, you can just put in the command docker logs container ID. Okay, so that will be docker logs and the container ID, whichever the sort 889 character string, I don't remember. You can just put it here and it will give you all the logs. And why it was not running, you can easily use that output to figure out what's wrong with your code. Okay, now in some cases, like when that particular service has been completely stopped and it's not linked to your live command, an excellent case is the Bitbucket pipeline runner. So what happens if you go to your server and you restart the server for some kind of problem, you have restarted your Linux server and you did this up command, so it will make all the other commands, all the other repository or the other projects that you have, it will make it live, but you can say it doesn't have the live command for the Bitbucket pipeline runner. So pipeline runner is used when you want to deploy your builds after committing them directly from the Bitbucket website. You can log in there, Once your merge is made, you can just click on deploy button there and it will deploy it for you. You don't have to log into the server to deploy it. So that requires this runner to be always running. Okay, and in this you won't see the container ID for this. So the other way to get it is docker ps-a grep bitbucket pipeline error. Now if it is already running, I have seen it not giving any output at all. Okay. If it is already running, since it is already running, you don't need to do anything. Anyways, once you do this, it will give you a container ID. So for that container ID, you can do docker logs and container ID, and from there also you can also start the container. In this case, this being the Bitbucket pipeline runner with this command. I think the command is docker. You know what? Let me just check the command. Yeah, it was pretty simple. It was the simple docker start command. So docker start. You can also put the image here, but I would say I would suggest sticking with container ID, and that is much more useful. That is much less prone to error. Okay, because sometimes what happens is if there is some kind of discrepancy, same name, the image's name might change depending on how your Bitbucket YML file is made. So how the runner file is made, the image name can have -1 -2 at the end. So it's best to stick with the container ID. This is all what I have seen, what I have tried, and this is not something I am completely expert at, but this is my first time using it, and I am kind of making this video for myself, if I'm being honest, because I know from 5 to 6 months from now, when I have to find out the solution to this, I will come back to this video, and I will come back to this task, whichever task it is. Anyways, so to summarize, immediately run docker ps command after your live command, so that you can get the container ID which is causing the error. Okay, and you can check its log with docker logs container ID. In case it is a container that is not showing up in the docker ps command for some reason, or it is quite fast and you cannot run the docker ps command, or you tried and it doesn't show up in there, you can type the docker name here, the image name here. Instead, I think this should be docker name. Let me, for example, this should be actually for example, give me a moment. For example, okay, and if I'm being honest, most of the time you would never know the actual name of the image, so it's a bit of hit and a bit of, what's that word, bit of a trial. But you can check the bitbucket.yml file or your docker file inside. Hopefully it's into the bitbucket file, it will have the actual image name there, or a sort of an image name that is going to be created. That's why I say stick to container ID if you can. Anyways, so if you do this, you will get the Bitbucket. Let's, for example, this is a very common thing. How to check that our container stop, how to check docker logs, error logs, and the second thing would be how to start Bitbucket pipeline container after server restart. So after you restart a server, Bitbucket pipeline will have completely stopped, and to start it, you first get its ID, so it's docker ps grep bitbucket pipeline runner, and you just do docker start this. One more thing, since you have stuck for this long, you can restart a container with, you guessed it, docker restart container ID. Yeah, all these two, this video and the past video, is just for another video that is going to come up right now. See you there.